Fiber optics, principles, applications, and integrity. Today we are diving into fiber optics from the ground up, not just what it is, but why it works, how it gets used in industry, and what makes it fail in the real world. The story starts with total internal reflection, the physics trick that traps light inside a glass strand, and it ends with optical time domain reflectometry, where we diagnose fibers by listening to light echoes. As we go, keep one theme in mind. Fiber systems are incredibly capable, but they are also unforgiving about cleanliness, alignment, and handling. Guiding light, the physics of the light pipe. Humans have used light for signaling forever, but the breakthrough was learning how to guide it, not just shine it through open air. Back in the 1840s, Colladin and Babinet demonstrated light guiding with a water stream. That sounds like a parlor trick, but it revealed the core idea. If light hits a boundary at the right angle, it can be trapped and guided. That is total internal reflection. You have a core with a higher refractive index, surrounded by cladding with a lower refractive index. When light hits that boundary above the critical angle, it reflects back inside instead of escaping. So fiber optics is not magic. It is controlled geometry and controlled refractive index. Anatomy of a waveguide, core, cladding, and coating. A fiber is built like a protected treasure. The treasure is the glass core. It is ultra-pure silica with extremely low impurities because impurities cause loss. Around the core is the cladding, engineered with a slightly lower refractive index, so total internal reflection keeps happening over long distances. Then you have coatings, strength members, and a jacket. These layers are not about guiding light. They exist to protect the glass from abrasion, moisture, bending stress, and crushing. The whole physical construction is designed to maintain two things: the purity of the core and the geometry that keeps light trapped. The problem of dispersion. Multi-mode fiber. Here is why fiber design matters. In multi-mode fiber, the core is large enough that photons can travel multiple paths. Some rays take a short, straight path, and others bounce more and travel a longer path. That means they arrive at different times. The result is pulse spreading, also called modal dispersion. Your clean digital 1 gets smeared out in time, limiting bandwidth and limiting distance. Multi-mode still has a place, especially for shorter distances and certain installations, but the dispersion mechanism is the built-in constraint. The solution: single-mode precision. Single-mode fiber solves the multipath problem by making the core extremely small, roughly 8 to 10 microns. Now the fiber only supports one propagation mode. Light does not spread out into many different path lengths, so modal dispersion essentially disappears. That gives you long reach and enormous bandwidth potential, with the main limitation shifting away from the glass and toward the electronics on each end. The trade-off is precision. Splicing and connectors require microscopic alignment, so the installation demands more skill and better tools. The data advantage: why glass beats copper. This slide is the why the world switched comparison. Copper has practical bandwidth limits and higher loss over distance. It is also vulnerable to electromagnetic interference, radio frequency interference, and crosstalk, because copper is a conductor sitting inside electromagnetic fields. Fiber, by contrast, has an enormous bandwidth ceiling because it is carrying light, not electrons. It also has low attenuation over long runs, and it is immune to electromagnetic noise because it is dielectric. There are also two industrial advantages that matter a lot: safety and security. Fiber provides galvanic isolation, reducing risks of sparks and ground loops, and it does not radiate energy the way copper can, which makes eavesdropping far harder. Beyond data. Fiber as an active sensor, Part 1. Fiber is not only a data highway, it can also be part of the measurement itself. One example is isolating electronics from harsh environments. You can keep sensitive electronics away from heat, vibration, and electrical noise while still carrying a clean signal. A turbine flow meter can chop a light beam as the wheel spins. The pulse frequency corresponds to flow rate, and the optical sensing can be isolated from electrical interference. Another example is dissolved oxygen measurement using fluorescence quenching. Oxygen reduces fluorescence. Less emitted red light corresponds to more oxygen, so fiber can be used to measure physical and chemical variables in ways that are robust in nasty environments. Beyond data, fiber as an active sensor, Part 2. Here we get into more advanced sensing. Fabry-Perot interferometry can measure temperature by using a cavity where interference patterns shift as optical thickness changes. In extreme applications, like slagging coal gasifiers, materials such as sapphire are used because they survive brutal heat. Another high-impact application is arc flash detection. Arc flash emits intense light instantly. A fiber-based detection system can trip breakers faster than waiting for current-based detection to react, reducing damage and improving safety. The core idea is that fiber sensors can be fast, electrically immune, and deployable in places where electronics would not survive. Connectivity, the imperative of alignment. Fiber optics is powerful, but it is picky. You are trying to couple light into a core that may be only a few microns wide. Connectors come in several forms, including bayonet-style, push-pull, and threaded. Each is a compromise between speed and security. Splicing also comes in two broad families. Mechanical splices align fibers with an index-matching gel, which is fast, but usually higher loss. Fusion splicing uses an electric arc to melt and join the glass into a continuous strand. That typically yields the best performance, but it requires specialized equipment and technique. The key message is simple. Alignment is not optional. Alignment is performance. Signal integrity, cleanliness, and geometry. Two enemies dominate day-to-day reliability: dust and bend radius. Dust is catastrophic at fiber scale. A speck that looks harmless to your eye can block or scatter a significant portion of the light. Treat every connector end face like an optical lens. Clean before every connection. The second enemy is bending. If you bend a fiber too tightly, the angle of incidence can drop below the critical angle and light leaks out. That creates signal loss, and in extreme cases, localized heating. Cleanliness and geometry are not nice to have. They are the difference between a stable link and a flaky one. Operational safety. Invisible hazards. Fiber safety has two main hazards: physical and optical. Physically, fiber shards are like invisible glass needles. They can migrate through skin and are hard to extract. The discipline is to capture cuttings immediately, often using adhesive tape, and dispose of them properly. Optically, many fiber systems use infrared lasers, which are invisible. Power is concentrated into microscopic areas, which can damage retinas instantly and can even pit connector faces. The rule is non-negotiable. Never look into a fiber, and never assume a dark fiber is safe. Use proper inspection tools and safe work practices for open fiber control. Verification. Optical power loss testing. This is the basic pass or fail test for a fiber link. You establish a 0 decibel baseline using a known reference setup, then measure the total loss through the fiber under test. The reading is the total insertion loss of the whole system: connectors, splices, bends, and the fiber itself. A useful anchor point is that 3 decibels represents roughly a 50% power loss. Power loss testing tells you whether the link meets budget, but it cannot tell you where the loss is happening. That is where advanced diagnostics come in. Advanced diagnostics. The optical time domain reflectometer. An optical time domain reflectometer, or OTDR, is basically radar for light. It injects a pulse of light and then listens for backscatter and reflections returning from the fiber. Because we know the speed of light in glass is slower than in vacuum, we can convert time into distance and map the fiber. That allows the OTDR to locate connectors, splices, bends, and breaks, and estimate loss at each event. This tool turns a mystery fault into a distance and an event type, which is exactly what you want in the field. Decoding the trace, OTDR analysis. Now we interpret what an OTDR trace is telling us. At the beginning, you see a launch spike, often from the initial connector or the start of the cable. Reflective events usually indicate a connector, a mechanical splice, or an air gap. Non-reflective events are often fusion splices or bends, where light is lost without a strong reflection. As distance increases, the trace slopes downward because of normal attenuation from scattering in the glass. Eventually, you hit the noise floor or the end of the fiber, which shows up as the end of measurable backscatter. Learning to read this trace is like learning to read a trend chart. Once you know the signatures, faults become obvious. The nervous system of modern industry. Fiber optics is the nervous system of modern industry because it moves information with huge capacity, low loss, and high immunity to electrical noise. The physics is simple in concept: light guided by refractive index manipulation and total internal reflection. The applications are enormous, from terahertz data pipelines to microscopic chemical and temperature sensors. And the integrity message is the final lesson. Fiber performance depends on hygiene, geometry, and safety discipline. We still have not tapped the full capacity of the fiber already buried in the ground. In many cases, the limitation is the electronics on the ends, not the physics of the glass. Thanks to Tony Kupalt and the open source community for making high-quality technical education freely available.